Neighbors, they can be your closest friends or your worst nightmares.
When the new guy moved into the townhouse across from mine, I thought he just had my haircut. That was the first thing. Same short sides, same messy top. Annoying, but funny. Then I noticed his car. Same model, same dent on the back right where the grocery cart hit me last year. Same sticker peeled halfway off the bumper, except his sticker peeled the other way like a mirror. I told myself it was a mere coincidence. I waved when he parked. He waved back. Same lazy two-finger salute I do without thinking. At night, I caught his reflection in his upstairs window. He stood there, lit by a lamp, looking down at the street. I stood at my window too. He raised his hand when I raised mine. Then he scratched his jaw when I scratched mine. Then he kept his hand on his jaw when I put mine down. I laughed, a little shaky. Nice to meet you, me, I said to the glass. The next morning, my neighbor knocked. He looked like me, not just hair, everything. My eyes, my jaw, my small scar in the eyebrow from the falling off a bike. He wore my work jacket. He smelled like me, I thought. Hey, he said, I am Noah. That's my name, I said. He smiled. I figured. He held out a package with my address. This was on my porch. I took it slowly. So you are across the street, he said. Thought I'd introduce myself. We shook hands. His grip was warm and dry and exactly my grip. He looked around my living room, taking everything in fast like he had been here before. I like what you've done with the place, he said. Thanks, I said. It is mostly IKEA. Same, he said. After he left, I checked his porch from my upstairs window. A doormat with the word home backwards like you would read it from the inside. A potted plant that mirrored the one in my window, except the leaves curled the other way. Small things, little flips. Days went by. I saw him on the morning run, matching my pace on the other sidewalk. When I stopped at the light to breathe, he stopped. When I took a picture of the pink sky, he did too, but he framed it tighter, cutting out the telephone pole that I always accidentally include. At work, people started saying weird things. Didn't you already send this? My boss asked, pointing at a spreadsheet I had definitely not sent. That evening, my sister texted, got your message about Saturday, can't wait. I hadn't called her. I hadn't messaged her. I called then, what message? I asked. You invited me to dinner, she said, at your place, 7 p.m. I looked out the window at the other townhouse. Noah stood in his kitchen on the phone, laughing my laugh. Saturday came. I cooked too much because I was nervous. My sister rang the bell, hugged me, and stepped inside. You look different, she said, squinting. How exactly? Can't say, just different, she said, then shrugged. Where's the famous lasagna? I set the table, we ate. She told me about her job. I told her about mine, or tried to at least. She kept mixing up my stories with stories I didn't recognize. You're the one who hates elevators, she said. No, that is you, I said. She stared. You told me last week you got stuck between floors and cried. Nope, I said. I took the stairs because I was late. She studied me. Maybe you are different, she laughed. Maybe the neighbor is rubbing off on you. What neighbor? I asked, too fast. The guy across the street, she said. He waved at me when I parked. Thought it was you at first. We walked to the window. The street was a mirror. He and I stood in our respective windows. He raised his hand. I didn't. He raised it anyway and held it like there was a warning. After my sister left, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You left your wallet at my place. Come get it. I checked my pocket. Empty. I never lose my wallet, ever. I looked under cushions, in the kitchen, in my coat. Nothing. The number sent an address. It was mine, but the odd numbers on my side of the street are odd. His text had the number even. I crossed the road and knocked. Noah opened the door. He handed me my wallet. Thanks, I said, watching his eyes. No problem, he said. You dropped it when you were showing me your new coffee maker. I didn't, I said. He tilted his head. You did. You came over earlier. I didn't, I said again, but softer this time, because my memory had a hole in it the shape of a coffee maker and a laugh in a kitchen with the light coming from the wrong side. We stood there a moment, then he said, "Want to see something weird?" He led me upstairs to his bedroom window. From there, my house looked off. The picture frames on my wall were reversed. The lamp on my nightstand was on the wrong side. My bed leaned the other way. Your room is backwards, he said. No, I said. Yours is. He smiled. Maybe both are, who knows? He flicked his lights off and on. In my room across the street, my lamp flicked off and on the same way. Not delayed, not copied, linked. Okay, I said, that's enough. I backed away. He laughed softly. It is more than enough. I went home and shut my curtains. The next week, neighbors started mixing us up. The mailman handed me a stack of letters and said, "Here you go, Noah," then flushed when I corrected him. A delivery guy asked me to sign and then said, "Wait, don't you already sign?" At the grocery store, the clerk smiled at me like we had a joke. "Back so soon?" she asked. "I haven't been here in days," I said. Again, the delivery guy with another package. "Didn't you already sign?" "Yeah, this time you're correct. It is didn't, not don't already sign. Yeah, this time you're right, but you are wrong. I haven't signed. I haven't signed." Anyways, again, at the grocery store, the clerk smiled again at me like we had a joke. "Back so soon?" she asked. "I haven't been here in days." Again, I said. She frowned. "You bought flowers this morning." Flowers? I never buy flowers. That night, a bouquet sat on my porch, a note, "For you, N." I carried them inside and set them on the counter. My phone buzzed. Unknown number again. "They look good in your kitchen." I texted back, "Stop copying me." He replied, "I'm not copying, I'm just catching up." I asked, "To what?" He answered, "To being you." I locked my doors. I turned on the TV for noise. I fell asleep on the couch. At 2:13 a.m., the screen flashed. For a second, my living room became his. The couch turned left instead of right. The TV stood on the opposite wall. My own face stared at me from that other room. I was asleep over there, my mouth slightly open. A shadow moved in my version of the room, like a person standing in the doorway watching me sleep. The screen flickered back to normal. I sat up, heart racing. My phone buzzed. "You talk in your sleep," the text said. "You said my name." I tapped. "What do you want?" He replied. "A clean trade." My hands shook. "Trade what?" "We are out of order," he wrote. "We live on mirrors. Someone got the angles wrong. You are in mine, I'm in yours. Only one of us can be real at a time. That's why things double. That's why people get confused. Let's fix it. Please fix it." "How?" "Come over at 7 p.m. Bring something only you would bring. I'll do the same. We'll set them on the table. We'll see which one the house takes." I should have blocked the number. I should have moved. I should have called someone. Instead, at 6:55, I took a shoebox from the closet and crossed the street. He waited at the door with a similar shoebox. We sat at his table. The room smelled like my cologne, and his cologne had something like hot dust. On 3, he said, "Show." We opened our boxes. Inside mine, my father's pocket knife, a small thing, a weight I carry when I need to feel like I can open something that doesn't want to open. Inside his, my father's pocket knife, the same nicks on the handle, the same tiny chip on the blade. "Which one is real?" he asked. I picked mine up. It was warm from my hands. I passed it to him. He passed his to me. They were the same, exactly. "Try again," he said gently. We each placed a second thing, my hospital wristband from last year. His hospital wristband from last year, my library card bent at the corner, his bent on the other corner. The house groaned. The lights dimmed and brightened like it was thinking something. Noah stood. "Let us go upstairs," he said. "Stand by the window. On three, we both wave with the hand we write with." We faced the street. 1, 2, 3. I lifted my right hand. He lifted his left. In my house across the street. I lifted my left. I whispered, "I'm right-handed." "So am I," he said. He turned to me. "We don't get to pick, Noah. The street picks. The room picks. The angles pick. There is only one way out." "What way?" I asked. "Give the house what it wants," he said. "Let it keep the copy and free the original." "I am the original," I said. He smiled sadly. "We both think that." He held out his hand. "Come on, kitchen." We went down. The table waited. The 2 knives, the 2 wristbands, the 2 cards, the 2 men who were the same. Noah took a breath. "I'll start," he said. He took his knife and pressed the tip into his palm. Blood beaded, red and neat. He smeared it on the table. He set the knife down. The house sighed. "Your turn," he said. I pressed my knife into my palm. Blood beaded. I smeared it beside his. The 2 stains looked identical. The house breathed in. The lights dimmed. The table creaked. The 2 stains slid together like magnets and became one. "Good," he said softly. "It wants one of us." He picked up both knives and held one out to me. "We go to the middle of the street," he said. "On the line, we stand back to back. We walk 3 steps. We turn. We throw our knives at our own front doors at the same time. Whichever door the knife sticks in, that's the house that keeps the person who belongs. The other house will shut its lights off and open its door. That person steps through. No more doubles." "This is insane," I said. "It is math." He said, "Angles, reflections, only one way to stop the echo." We walked outside. The evening was quiet. The sky was soft gray. The porch lights glowed. The street looked like a mirror resting on its edge. We stood on the painted line, back to back. The knives were cold in our hands. 3 steps, he said. 1, I said. 2, 3. We turned, we threw. My knife spun and struck my door. It sank into the wood with a solid thunk and hung there, quivering. Across the street, his knife hit his door and bounced off, clattering onto the steps. Every light in his house went out at once. Every light in mine flared bright, then steadied. Noah laughed once, a small sound. He stepped backward toward his dark house, eyes on me. He looked proud, or relieved, or both. "Looks like you are indeed the original," he said. He reached his door. It swung open on its own. Inside was not a hallway, it was a narrow black like the space between a mirror and a wall. He faced me and raised his hand the way we do. I raised mine. We matched. "Remember me," he said. "If the angles shift again." He stepped backward into the dark. The door closed softly. I stood there with my knife in my door and my blood on my palm, and my house breathing around me like a living thing that had finally decided which heartbeat to keep. A week passed. People stopped mixing us up. My boss stopped double asking me for work. The clerk at the store said, "Haven't seen you in a while," and meant it. And even the delivery guy, he knows what is real, basically. Then, last night, I looked out my window. Across the street, a new neighbor stood in the upstairs room, a woman this time. Short hair like mine used to be when I was 20. Same scar in the eyebrow, same lazy salute. She raised her right hand. I raised my right hand. In her room, she raised her left. I closed my curtains and turned off every mirror in the house by laying towels over them. I sat on the floor until the house stopped breathing so hard. If she knocks, I'll open the door. I'll give her a knife. We'll stand in the street and let the houses do their math. I hope the angels keep me, but if they don't, I hope whoever steps through remembers me. Basically, I am the reflection. I become one with a man or a woman. I am the one who is not the original. I am the one who takes shape. This is why do not get confused with hers and hims. I am everyone. I bought the little house at the end of Willow Street for the yard. The lawn was small, but the soil was dark. I wanted tomatoes, peppers, a row of sunflowers. I wanted to grow things and watch them live. The neighbor on the right waved as I moved boxes. Tall, thin, a sun hat pulled low. "Welcome," he said. "I'm Mr. Alder. I garden too." His backyard looked like a dream. Vines on trellises, neat beds, a scarecrow in a denim jacket had made from a sack. He handed me a basket on day 2. "For you," he said, "fat red tomatoes and a single beet the size of a fist." I made a salad. It tasted like summer should taste, sweet and earthy. I ate every bite. That night, I dreamed of roots tangled like fingers. I started my own garden. I turned the dirt. I planted seedlings. Mr. Alder leaned over the fence. "Your soil needs feeding," he said. "I can give you a shortcut. Compost my way." "What is your way?" He smiled. "I return what the garden gives." I laughed politely because I didn't understand what he meant. Every morning he was out early, hat low, moving slow and careful. The denim scarecrow watched me from his yard. It leaned a little more every day, as if listening. After a week, I noticed faces. Not real ones, shapes in the roots near his fence. When the sun hit right, the knots and fork tips looked like noses and brows. I blamed it on my eyes. A missing cat flyer went up on a telephone pole. A gray tabby named Smoke. I loved cats, so I checked my shed and the crawl space under my porch. Nothing. That night, Mr. Alder knocked on my back door. He handed me a jar. Inside was thick brown liquid. "Molasses tea," he said, "for your soil. Just a splash around each plant. The roots love it." I thanked him. When I opened the jar later, the smell was sweet, but strange. Like sugar and pennies. I used the tea anyway. The next morning, my tomatoes looked stronger. Their leaves were darker, shinier. It felt proud. Days passed. A kid from down the block stapled up a second flyer near the first one. "Missing Uncle Rob. Last seen June 3rd, 2025. The picture showed a man in a baseball cap. The kid's handwriting was big and round. My stomach dropped for no good reason. People go missing. It is a city. At dusk, I stood at my fence and watched Mr. Alder's garden breathe. The leaves sighed in the breeze. The scarecrow's denim sleeve fluttered. A patch of beets near the back had swollen to the size of grapefruits. Their red tops looked like tongues pressed against teeth. Mr. Alder appeared beside me, quiet as a cat. "You see them?" he asked casually. "See what?" "The faces," he said, polite like he was commenting on the weather. "You get them if you feed the ground properly. It remembers. It shows you what it has eaten." I forced a laugh. That's a pretty weird joke." "No joke," he said. He tipped his hat. "Come by tomorrow. If you like, I'll show you how I bury a year." I didn't plan to go. I told myself I wouldn't. But in the morning, I found another gift basket on my porch. This one had carrots shaped like bent fingers, a note. "Tonight, After dark, bring your old clothes. Old clothes, I almost threw the basket away, but I kept thinking about how good that first tomato had been. I kept thinking about my seedlings, about how the molasses tea had made me jump. After dark, I went next door with a bundle of shirts and socks bound by twine. Mr. Alder met me at the gate. His scarecrow loomed close now, denim jacket buttoned to the throat, sack head tilted. Clothes first, he said. Cloth goes under the roots. It holds the wet, but it also holds what clings to it: sweat, skin, hair. You put memory in the ground, and the ground gives you back a body. He took my bundle, dug a long, narrow trench, and laid the clothes out like a quiet person. He covered them with soil and pressed it flat as if tucking someone in. I tried to speak. Is that all? For tonight, at least, he said. We start gentle. I went home shaking, mad at myself for going, mad at him for being strange, mad at the garden for looking so calm. The next morning, a small knob formed in the dirt where the clothing lay, like a knee pushing through a blanket. By noon, thin roots had sprouted and traced veins across the mound. By evening, a face looked back. The mouth was a slit in the soil, the nose was a knot, the eyes were black seeds, set too deep. I didn't sleep that night. The missing cat flyer flapped. Somewhere a car alarm stuttered once and died. At dawn, I dug up my trench. I wanted to pull the clothes out and wash them and never speak to my neighbor again. But my spade hit something soft and fibrous, roots laced through the fabric, chewing it up. The shirts were turning into soil, the socks were gone. I stood there with dirt under my nails, shaking, when a voice spoke from the fence. You fed it, Mr. Alder said. Now it knows your taste. I'm calling the police, I said, even though I didn't move. To say what? He asked. That your garden is healthy? He smiled kindly. Let me show you one more thing instead. He led me to the back of his yard. There, half covered by climbing beans, a low stone sat with two carved letters, A.L. The scarecrow stood guard beside it. My wife, Alice, he said. She loved tomatoes. I return what the garden gives. She returns too. He knelt and brushed soil beneath the beans. The roots made a woman's face, not exact but close enough to hurt. A line for a smile, a soft curve for a cheek. That is not her, I said, though part of me wanted to believe him. That's roots. Everything is roots, he said softly. Names are roots. Love is a root. We feed the ground with what we are. It feeds us back with what it can make of us, friend. I ran inside and locked my door. I drew the curtains and sat at the kitchen table, breathing slow, telling myself to be normal. I made a sandwich with the last of the tomatoes he gave me. They tasted like sweet dirt and copper. I spit the bite into the sink and flushed it down the disposal. I rinsed my mouth until my gums hurt. That night, something dug under my fence. I waked to a soft scraping sound. I pulled on boots, grabbed my flashlight, and went outside. A round hole had opened near the fence line. Something had tunneled, no, braided through the soil. A thick bundle of roots pushed up like a fist and then relaxed. The mound sank, the hole closed. The dirt smoothed itself like a bed being made. I stared at my tomato plants. Their leaves shook as if they had just finished laughing. In the morning, I found another basket on my porch. This one held a single beet. It was huge, the size of a newborn's head. The top was green and healthy. The bulb was red and glossy, and God help me, it had the shape of a face. My own face. The nose was my nose. The mouth was my mouth, but closed, as if holding a secret. I took the beet inside and set it on the counter. I couldn't throw it away. I couldn't eat it. I covered it with a towel. I went to the backyard. Mr. Alder waited at the fence. hat low. It made you fast, he said simply. It likes you. What did you feed it? I asked. What did you put under my fence? He didn't answer. He tilted his head towards the scarecrow. The denim jacket looked familiar suddenly. A patch on the sleeve. A little stitched fish. I had seen that patch on a flyer. Your scarecrow, I said. Where did you get the jacket? From the garden, he said. It grew him so beautiful I had to dress the shape. No, I said, no. He sighed. The world throws so much away. I am old. I keep what I can. That night, I packed a bag. I put the beet in a paper sack and carried it with me because I was afraid to leave my face alone in the kitchen. I drove out to the edge of town where the river runs. I got out and walked to the bank with the beet in my arms like a baby. I threw it as hard as I could into the dark water. It bobbed once, twice, and sank. Red clouded the surface like paint. When I got back home, a new basket waited on the porch. Inside was a pair of work gloves, the cheap kind with rubber palms. They were muddy and my size. A note lay on top. You dropped these, it read. You'll need them tonight. The garden is hungry. I didn't go outside. I locked my doors. I turned on a fan to cover sounds. I lay in bed and watched the ceiling. At 2:13 a.m., the same time I used to hear pipe knocks in my old apartment, the ground under my nose and my house sighed. The floorboards relaxed, then tightened. The fan slowed and then caught speed again. I don't remember falling asleep, but I must have, because I woke to sunlight and a smell like boiled sugar. My yard was full of beets, dozens, red and round, half lifted out of the soil the way newborns crown. Each one had a face, not mine, not exactly, but close to people I had seen on flyers, in news clips, on the street. The roots made hair, the leaves made shoulders. Mr. Alder stood on his side of the fence, hands folded, hat low. I can't keep them all, he said. I share with my neighbors. I dialed 911. The dispatcher asked my address. I told her. She went silent, then said, Ma'am, please stay on the line. A minute later, someone knocked at my back door. It wasn't the police. It was the kid from the missing Uncle flyer. He looked tired. He held a basket. Mr. Alder asked me to give you this, he said. It is heavy. Inside the basket, the beet was back. My face, this time the mouth was open just a little. I could see something inside like a gray seed. I told the kid to wait. I took the beet to the sink and cut into the mouth with a knife. The blade hit something hard. I pulled the thing out and rinsed it. It was a ring. A cheap one. A little fish engraved on it. I had seen that fish on a jacket patch. I called 911 again and didn't hang up. I told the dispatcher about the ring, about the faces, about the jacket. She stayed quiet a long time and then said, units were on the way. Mr. Alder stood in his yard, breathing. He didn't run, he didn't move. He just watched the wind in his beans and the denim sleeve of the scarecrow shaking. The police came, they took the ring, they walked the yards and looked at the weird root-made faces and called them disturbing and not evidence. They asked if they could dig. Mr. Alder said, of course. He smiled the whole time. They dug. They found cloth, shirts, socks, jackets, no bodies. The ground had eaten everything soft and left only memory. That night, I sat at my kitchen table and stared at my hands. Dirt lived under my nails no matter how much I scrubbed. My plants outside grew fast, too fast. Their leaves leaned toward the house like ears. I moved a month later. I left the garden. I left Willow Street. I left the ring with the police because they said it mattered and I wanted to matter. Last week, far away, I opened my pantry and found a basket sitting on the floor. I hadn't put it there. Inside were 2 tomatoes, heavy and red and perfect. No note, no explanation. I didn't eat them. I took them to a field and let them there. But when I came home, the smell of boiled sugar filled my kitchen, and a thin red root was curled under my back door like a finger that had learned how to knock. I moved into apartment 3B in winter. The hallway smelled like dust and lemons. The manager, Mrs. Pike, patted the metal plate on the door next to mine. 3A is sealed, she said, since the fire back in 89, so don't worry, no one is in there. You're alone. She said no one, not nothing. That stuck with me. The first night, the pipes knocked, the radiator hissed, the building breathed. I lay in bed, drifting. At 2:13 a.m., a whisper slid through the bedroom wall. Don't be scared, Sam. I sat up fast. My name. I hadn't told it to anyone here yet. Not on the mailbox, not to the manager. Who is there? I asked. Only a slow breath answered, like someone holding back tears. In the morning, I asked about the sealed unit. Mrs. Pike shook her head. Foam, concrete, steel, like a tomb. You shouldn't hear a peep. That night, 2:13 again. Don't turn the small knob on your stove, Sam. Not yet. I hadn't told anyone that the front right burner stuck and sometimes hissed gas before it lit. Who are you? I whispered. Your neighbor. Your nice neighbor, the voice said. We share walls. I don't have a neighbor. A soft laugh. You will. I didn't sleep. The next day, I bought a carbon monoxide detector. I checked the smoke alarm. No battery. I fixed that. Night 3, 2:13 again. The voice asked about a creek behind my childhood home, the flat rock where I hid my first diary, things I'd never told anyone. How do you know these things? I'm trying to help, it said. Please don't hate me for that. Yet? I went to the library, old newspapers on film, May 1989, headline, Electrical Fault in 3A. Photo of the door with a black bloom around it. Article said fatalities. That night I set my phone to record and held it to the wall. 2:13 came and went. Silence. 2:15. Then, Sam, the detector in your hallway has no battery. Don't cook tonight. I checked in the morning. My hallway alarm hung by a wire. Empty. I thought I had fixed it. Maybe I'd only imagined it. I started talking back. The voice wanted memories. Small, simple ones, not complex ones. My first bicycle ride, a teacher who wore too much perfume, a song my mother hummed. Each time I shared, the voice said, "Thank you." Each morning, the memory felt thinner, like a picture left in the sun. One night, it warned me again. Don't turn the little knob. I wanted tea. The detector suddenly screamed. Gas was hissing. I hadn't touched the stove. I opened windows and shook. How did you know? I asked. Because I remember you forgetting, it said, because I was you. My mouth went dry. What do you mean? Not yet, it said, but soon, if you keep feeding me, you turn into me. The building keeps the last talking piece and loops it. That's how it pulls the next one. I called the police. An officer tapped the plate on 3A and shrugged. Welded shut. No draft, he said, and left. At 1:50 a.m., I stood on a chair and pried at a hairline crack where the wall met the ceiling. Plaster crumbled. Behind it, foam. Behind that, a crawl space connecting units like a hidden tunnel. Please don't, the voice said. If you see me, it gets faster. I slid a lamp up and looked in. A low chair leaned against the shared wall. The back legs had been cut short so a person could rest their head on the plaster. On the wall, pencil marks, tallies, and one word written over and over. Remember. A cassette recorder sat on the chair, a fresh tape inside. I pressed play. My own voice spilled out. Do you remember the creek behind your childhood home? The tape hissed, then my voice again, older, tired, saying, thank you, saying please, saying don't turn the little knob. Why is it my voice? I whispered. Because I ran out of memories, the wall said. Then I ran out of words. What is left are your words. You gave them to me. The building holds them here. I slid back into my kitchen, shaking. I wanted to flee, but where do you go when a place knows you better than you know yourself? The next day, I wrote down everything I could remember: names, smells, dates, stuffed the pages in a shoebox, and wrote on the lid, "For me, before the wall." That night, the voice didn't wait for 2:13. One last memory, it begged. "Please." "No," I said. "You said if I keep feeding you, I become you." A pause. "Then I'll spend what I have left to keep you alive." I checked my stove. Beneath it, the rubber gas line rubbed on a sharp edge, barely nicked. I turned the valve off and called a handyman. He replaced the line in the morning. "Lucky you caught it," he said. "I didn't," I said. "The wall did." After he left, I looked back into the crawl space between the repeater remembers. Small words were hidden, faint, like someone wrote them with a shaking hand. "Set some of me free." I grabbed a hammer and pounded the plate on 3A. Neighbors shouted. The super came up with bolt cutters, cursing. The welds snapped. Behind the metal was a wooden door, then foam, then a narrow path carved by hands. The chair, the cassette recorder, the pencil words. Mrs. Pike went pale. "We'll seal it properly tomorrow," she said. That night there was only silence, until a gentle knock from the wall. I tapped SOS. That wall tapped OK. My phone lit up even though the battery was out. A note typed itself. "I am you." The letters shifted. "I am you, but out of order." The last time the voice spoke, it didn't ask for a memory, it gave one. "Your father smelled like cedar and coffee," it said, a comma-shaped scar under his left eye, screws in old film canisters, labeled with tape. His laugh was 3 notes, like a gull. As it spoke, the feeling returned to me. I heard the laugh. I cried hard. "Why give these back?" I asked. "Because someone new moved into 4C, it said. "I can hear her listening. She's already answering. I want you to have enough of yourself to leave." I packed the shoebox. As I dragged my suitcase to the door, the whisper came one last time. "Sam?" "Yeah?" "Leave the chair right where it is." "Why?" "So I can lean my head and face the wall," it said softly. "So I don't forget I had a face." I locked my door and left without looking back. 2 weeks later, from a different apartment across town, I played the cassette I took from the crawl space. I expected my voice. Instead, I heard a woman I didn't know. She was crying. "Please," she whispered, "I'm in 4C. What is your name?" Then, faint and threadbare, buried under static, I heard my own answer come back from somewhere far away. "Don't be scared," I said. "We share walls."
For regular horror content, like the video, subscribe the channel, hit the notification icon, and sleep with your eyes wide open.